Hello and welcome to episode 5 of For the Purpose Of, a podcast about trends, big ideas, and exciting news in the world of education technology, helping you consider the purposes behind your next EdTech integration. I'm Ron Houtman. I'm joined by my colleagues.
I'm Sarah Wood.
And I'm Keith Tramper. And today we're going to be bringing you a show focused around where we're headed as we head into conference season and what you should be looking for at upcoming conferences. We'll also ask Ron a new question, what he thinks about something in the world of EdTech. We'll share a few things around the world of EdTech in the interwebs and update you on a few professional learning opportunities. To start us out, like we always do, we're going to start with an intro question. And as we're approaching conference season and the three of us are headed over to McCall, we're going to ask, what are you most excited for at McCall and what are you most curious to see? And we'll start with you, Ron.
Yeah, so if you don't know what a McCall is, it's an acronym that stands for something like Michigan Association of Computer Users and Learning, believe it or not. So I'm most excited for LobbyCon at McCall. And LobbyCon I always describe to be where I get to see people again in person and talk to them and see what they're up to and the ideas that they might have and pick people's brains. I think to me, when I go to any educational conference, that is the most powerful thing for me, is to talk to colleagues in person so you can have those really great conversations with folks. I like to, swing through the vendor thing every once in a while, but I found that, if I want something, I can find it on the internet. I don't know if I always need to see it at a vendor booth. I don't get a lot of value out of that. However, a lot of other people do, so I won't, denigrate that too much. But I just get so much more out of the energy of the people that are at a conference more than anything. So, Sarah?
I agree. I'm excited to be back learning in person. And I'll go to sessions and I'll pull like one new cool tool or application. But like for me, then the conversations that I have outside of that learning space are what really like get me jacked and like, oh man, I could really see a good application of this. Yeah, those casual conversations that you have in passing with people are really powerful. And I'm not going to lie, with McCall, I am also super excited about the duck pin bowling. I'm very competitive. Fierce, some people might say. But basically, I don't like to lose. I grew up with all brothers, and losing is not an option. So,
what is duck pin bowling?
It's like regular bowling. I think it has 8 pins, but they're almost like marionetted on there, like they're kind of hanging on a string. And you have smaller balls, like almost like a bocce ball size thing, and throw it out there. So you don't need bumpers as much. So I'm already laying it on the table. Ron and Keith, I challenge you to a round of duck pin bowling.
Oh, all right.
If you're up for the challenge. Or
it's on.
Yeah, and if you don't show up, I'll know what you didn't have what it takes. It's all right.
I feel like a loser already.
Notice I said I'm competitive. I'm not good. I'm competitive. There's a difference. With that being said, Keith, I want to know what you're excited about.
Yeah, I think for me, these last few years I felt a little disconnected from what's happening in the classroom, what strategies and what tools teachers are really like diving into and meeting the needs of their students with. So I think this particular McCall, we're going to see a lot of those innovative ideas and strategies that teachers have been deploying to meet their students' needs. And I'm just excited to see the creativity and the shifts that teachers have made over the past couple of years, a little more like a clear picture into classrooms around the state. All right, that brings us into the big topic. As we head into conference season, what are the things that we should be looking for at upcoming conferences? Ron?
So I think with the isolation that our students have faced for the last 2 years or so, well, now we're in year 3, I think you should be looking for more opportunities for your students to engage in project-based learning versus traditional learning. So opportunities where they get to interact as small teams to create things and to understand things by failing. Learn by fail, I think, is always a really good thing. That's how I learned how to ride a bike. I think most of us falling over and scratching our knees and things like that. But project-based learning has a really great, opportunity for our kiddos to be able to figure out how to, again, work together because they've lost that opportunity for a couple of years. helping them understand what it feels like to work on a team. Because as you get out of school, we always have to think about what's the purpose of education in the United States of America. Generally, people think of it as this is the preparation ground for you to be basically a good citizen. And you can define that in any way that you want, I think. But really, to be productive at the very end of this, to go find a job that you like, you enjoy, that contributes to society, that makes you happy, that allows you to raise a family, whatever it might be. But the end of education, most of it is you're working with people. You're going to end up working with other people in an office or in business and industry someplace. So building those skills in school is really important, and PBL really brings a lot to that. I would think too is just thinking about how strategies and tools that you might find that support the growth of social skills for kids. To me, PBL works really well in that too, to help kids and bring opportunities for them to work together so they can figure out, how we have conversations where we might need to agree to disagree on something, or we didn't think it's the right way, but more opportunities that we can give kids instead of just looking at worksheets and turning stuff in, I think the better. Sarah?
That's so true. And I love when you said we'll have to agree to disagree, because that always leaves both parties left thinking about it. And then they'll come back and eventually come to either a common ground or something new and better than what they were talking about. So that's awesome. I think with heading into conference season, I don't want to say it's a pet peeve of mine, because I know, and I've been there, going to a conference and coming back and heading into the classroom, and there's not always that time to transfer your learning. But the question I want to pose to everyone is, okay, you go to a conference, but what are you going to do with your new learning? Are you going to keep it to yourself? Are you going to share it with, a teacher across the hall, with your building, with the district, or even just online with your PLN? I think there's such an important part that gets lost if you don't share what you're learning, because maybe it might be new to you, where someone else has had some experience with it and they could say, oh, definitely do this, don't do this. But that will never happen if you don't share what you're learning. So I think I want to say, it almost should be a requirement. If you go somewhere and you learn something, you attend a PD or thing like that, share, even if it's just something on Twitter or wherever you have your online space, share something you learned. I think it will help you even grow more and come at your new learning with a different lens.
Yeah. I think on the other side of that too, I think it's important that your PLN be ready to push back on things too. Because I know inevitably we all go to a conference and we all come back with all these ideas and things that we're super excited about, like brand new shiny tools. But sometimes it's easy to lose track of how does this actually impact learning, right? We start going down the road of, oh gosh, I need a good example.
Just think, if you get an interactive whiteboard, what is the purpose in using that?
Exactly. Yeah. So if we start going down the road of that, what actual impact does that give us in the classroom? And I think it's good to have people that you surround yourself with that push back on that and say, so why? why is this going to be helpful in your classroom? Why do you need to spend this money on this tool? And is it worth it? Is there enough reason? Is there enough impact to put the money towards it? So, or to spend the energy towards it.
Well, I think the decision's really easy if it's Crayola versus Rose Art, though.
Oh, don't get me started. Well, I was going to say, I'd like to quote a wise man and say, for the purpose of.
Yep. Exactly. I think that's what this podcast aims at, right? So, and I just want to come back to, I think what Ron was getting at too, of the project-based learning and the social side of things. Like, what are we looking at for our students, especially given the times that we're in, the things that they've been going through in the past few years? How do we find the tools that help bolster SEL and social skills along the way? What what lens can we look through as we're listening to different presentations or engaging in different activities at conferences that helps us transfer it back to what's good for our students, not just about what's a cool tool to try or how does this help me transfer my curriculum to my students? How does this support my students' actual personal growth? I think is an important part here.
So I had a thought the other day, and I was like, perfect. So, Ron, I'm curious your thoughts on the world of digital citizenship, TikTok, kind of what's real out there. I have a feeling you might have a couple thoughts on this.
Yep. So I think one of the things that we have to really think about as professional educators in the year 2022 and beyond, we have all noticed, I'm sure, and even maybe with our kids, is that they are very quick to share stuff, share everything. Their life is, if it's on the Instagram or the Finstagram or the current most popular app of the teenagers, which is the TikTok, they share a lot of stuff about themselves. But they're also on the other side of that thing is that they are very, I'm just going to call out TikTok just for one. I think it's really just terrible for your brain um, because of the algorithms that they use. And especially in the age now, I think we're getting to a new age of information warfare or cyber warfare around disinformation that gets posted in lots of different places. And our kids are, because they don't really have that view, that critical eye a lot of times, they have a very difficult time ascertaining what is real and what's fake. And many times, I would say all the times, the algorithms that drive these social networking platforms that our kids are on constantly really key in on. They're written basically to be addictive and in such a way that the algorithm keeps feeding people what they viewed. So if you're on TikTok, as an example, you're watching cat videos, you're going to get a lot of cat videos over and over and over again. Well, we really need to help our kids understand that what they're viewing and what they're consuming is not just randomly chosen for them, but it's very much algorithmically driven to maintain their engagement. Engagement is everything with these platforms. I'm sure. Have any of you guys had this thing yet where you've been on TikTok and it told you to take a break because you've been watching it too long?
It's like the walk of shame right here. Yep.
Yeah. It comes up after a while, right? So that's the same thing. I just noticed, walking through schools again, even though our filters filter out TikTok, I've seen kids using their own data plan, just mindlessly scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and other places. That's kind of what they do. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm an old man or anything, but we really, as professional educators, need to help our kiddos understand the impact that engagement-driven algorithm has on their lives. There's so many different resources out there. I guess I give you probably a couple of them. One would be Common Sense Media has a ton of really great stuff on helping you as an educator help your students understand what's real and what's fake and what's manufactured and why you're seeing all these different things. I think we just need to be really good at this and explaining to it. And it's nothing that any of us learned in our teaching college courses in any way, shape, or form. This is, a relatively new thing of algorithmically driven engagement where our kids are just, can I use the word poison? I guess I would say sometimes these things are just, to me, it's poison. So that I don't want it to be like Homer Simpson's dad, where it says "old man yells at cloud." But I think we really need to help our kids understand this and navigate their way through this engagement-driven, algorithmically driven thing that they're watching all the time. It's just I want to have a lot of hope that kids are smarter than this, but on the reality side, I know that they fall victim to just seeing this stuff and thinking that if it's on the internet or if I saw it on the gram, it's real. So just thinking about that going forward.
So it's like digestive upset for your brain.
Yeah. I think it's really important. And you touched on this, that we understand when you pause on a video and you watch the whole thing and then you scroll past it, that's adding to the algorithm, right? Like, oh, they paused on a cat video, let's give them a lot more cats. Oh, they paused on a cat video, let's give them more things about pets. And like, it sort of pushes you into one corner of the internet over time. There's been some recent studies that kind of show like even the first few things that you view when you get onto TikTok, it starts to push you into one corner of the internet where it becomes an echo chamber of just the things that you have watched in the past and things that you've liked over time. Right. So I think so. I have to defend a little bit because I know Sarah and I both like TikTok mainly because it's like, it's a nice place to go sometimes to just like take your brain down a notch, right? And just kind of tune out. However, when you're doing that, I think it's important to realize the effects of what you're doing on your long-term viewership on that platform, right? So, yes, I paused and I laughed at this cat video, or I shared it with Sarah. Now I'm going to get a lot more of those things, but like when you just have to keep in the back of your brain, like I'm changing my algorithm. I'm honing myself into one corner of the internet. How am I going to either combat that or be okay with it, but realize what it's doing to the social interactions that I have?
Yep. I think that's the thing too, is, all of us as adults over the current demographic, the vast majority of the demographic of a TikTok is under 24 years old. And we know women's brains mature way faster than men's. That's just normal.
Fact.
We know. I've been told that many times. But making sure that our kids, they're so malleable in these formative years that this may have some long lasting effects. I've read enough research lately where it just makes me even more concerned that that engagement driven algorithmic stuff is just, I'll use the word again, poison. So I want us just to kind of think about that and look for some opportunities to help your kids when they're fully engaged and engrossed in these things to take a break. I don't know if that means take their phone away and throw it in the blender, garbage disposal. No, probably not that much, but at least help them understand that what they're seeing is driven by that algorithm versus, I don't think a lot of kids even know where this comes from. That's part of it. Okay, well, moving on, we're going to go into the next little thing. We're going to talk about around the interwebs, as we call them, just our picks and tips of the week or of the month, things that we found interesting. So one of the things that I'm going to just talk about really quickly is a thing called LinkedIn Learning. You may remember this from a long time ago. It was called lynda.com, lynda.com. Fantastic website that has, I want to say in the tens, probably 30 or 40,000 different videos that are all really facing you as an adult learner, actually, and students use this too. They've got topics in there from business to software development to communication skills and things like that. And it's if you have a Kent District Library or Grand Rapids Public Library card, you can access this for free. All you have to do is just use your card, do a search on their website for LinkedIn Learning. It'll take you into it. It's a $39.99 a month value, I would say. So $40 a month. It's really worth it when it's especially free, especially if you pay taxes for it. It's a very good resource to use. I found just great amounts of help in there. They're way better videos than you're going to find on the YouTubes. Just there's tons of stuff. Plus there's transcripts, there's curriculum, there's downloadable files that you might use. And at the very end of it, if you take some of their pathways that they have, you can actually get a certificate for Freebo, and you can associate that with your LinkedIn account too. So if you wanted to show what you know or provide some proof, it's a really great platform for that. So check it out at Kent District Library or GRPL. And if you're outside of our normal Kent ISD listening area and you don't have either of those, check your local library too. I found that quite a few libraries across the United States offer this also as a subscription service that the library subscribes to, and you have access to it through your library card. So check it out. Do it now. Right now.
Right now.
Like right now. Sarah.
Right now. So something that I stumbled across recently was and ditch that textbook. And his website was, and maybe this is a good way to build off of Ron's segment, but they were social media inspired Google slide templates. And so this is a great way to engage students in those areas that they're traditionally drawn into, but don't use any of the algorithms or anything that shows up in the actual apps. So they have a bunch of free templates, which would be a great way to put a modern twist on student projects and get them as part of maybe that PBL process, as far as how would you show to an authentic audience what you've learned, or capture um, the process that you went through to get there. So they have like Amazon listing templates, different social medias. The one that made me laugh a lot is probably because it's more of a personal joke, is the Yelp review. Because my son, who's 10, always tells me Yelp doesn't help. And so it's an ongoing joke with us. So I personally want to find a way to do something with that just for him, just because I'm such a good parent like that. But it's a great way, even building Spotify playlists. And that would be, great, especially for social studies teachers, about how can you take songs from history and relate it back to time periods or locations and things like that. So I highly recommend going and checking out those templates and using them with your students.
It's really cool. And then you can sort of make it a enclosed space for students to talk, right? So you could use it like a social media if you wanted to, right? So students could get in there and talk with each other and comment on each other's things in a space where they're not going to be defined by that TikTok algorithm.
Exactly. And we all know that students love to use that comment and chat feature. So use it for good.
Yes. Yep. Good space to learn. All right. The thing I'm going to share with you is actually just wrapped up last week, more of an event that happened around the state with the METS group. That's the Michigan EdTech Specialist Group. They've been around for as long as I've been in EdTech, and they're essentially a grassroots group of EdTech leaders in schools all around the state that love to share the different things that they're doing, the different questions that they have, and just get in community with each other to support the work of EdTech. So the thing they do every year is the METS Winter Virtual Rally. Normally that's like a live event where you join a Zoom and they have a bunch of different breakout sessions, but given the times, they decided to pivot to a YouTube a YouTube playlist. So you can get on at, if you go to YouTube and just search METS group, METS group, you'll find a playlist on their page of all the different things that people have shared from their winter virtual rally that happened all last week. So lots of really cool ideas, new things you might not have thought about, or going deep into tools like, I think there was one on Kahoot, one on Flipgrid, getting deeper into those tools that you might be familiar with, but getting some new perspectives on how to use them. So really great group to be involved with. I would highly recommend you go seek them out if you are not already involved with them. This is the if you're part of the audience for this podcast, you should probably be a part of the METS group. But and just a heads up too, they get together around McCall. If you are a person heading to McCall, there's usually a couple events. So definitely go to their website, and we'll link that in the show notes so that you can go and see where those things are. So, all right, that's my pitch on METS. I'm going to switch us over to upcoming opportunities. And Ron.
All right. So from the Kent Intermediate School District, we've been running a thing called the Kent Computer Science Network, and anybody is very welcome to join these. Upcoming, we've got a couple of computer science events. We've got a panel and a workshop. In the show notes, you'll find links to be able to get to the signups for those. So April 20, we have Victoria Fleenor, who's going to talk to us as a computer scientist in one of our panel discussions, which are really great, kind of open-ended. We've got some questions that we've developed. We also have anybody that's attending these can ask really good questions too and get some good insight. And then we do have our computer science workshop coming up April 27, which is in person. I mean, like for reals, at the Kent ISD. So I don't remember. What are we going to do in that again, Keith? I forgot what we're going to do in the workshop.
Yeah, we're going to get out all the different robotics and computer science teaching tools that we have that's available for you to borrow from the ISD and from REMC. And you get a chance to get your hands on them, and we'll take a look at how to incorporate the computer science core concepts into the use of those tools.
And there might be sharks with laser eyes involved. I'm not sure yet, though, but we'll see.
Sounds like an absolute banger. I'm there.
It is. It's going to be great. Right, Sarah?
Well, obviously, we've talked about it, but McCall is just around the corner. That will be in downtown Grand Rapids. And that starts on March 16th with the workshop sessions and goes through the 19th, ending off with some of the virtual sessions. So even if you aren't available to attend in person, there are options for you to still participate, and a lot of those will come on Saturday. So I recommend, if you have not registered already, do so by Wednesday. That's when early bird pricing ends. And so no one wants to pay more money than they have to, so get it in while you can. And then we have some virtual make and takes coming up in the month of March. We have choice boards, and in April, HyperDocs, and in May we have Tech Talk, which does use TikTok if you want to. So this is your opportunity to mess with that algorithm with educational content is where it's at.
Get acclimated to the poison, as Ron calls it, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
Yep,
Just take a little sip.
A little bit, and then when you have to drink a lot of it, you're immune to it, right?
Exactly. That's how that works, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Kent ISD does not endorse the drinking of poison. Okay. On another note, we've got Design Thinking PDX coming up. That is for people interested in design thinking. And it's essentially like a micro PD. You heard us talk about micro learning last time we were together for the podcast. And this is a way to get learning delivered right to your email inbox. And you have the opportunity to earn sketches based on what you can and want to do. So you can dig into some of those different learning segments that are in there. Usually it's like a little video or a short article. If you read that and then respond on our Facebook page, you can earn yourself sketch credit for that. Super simple, super easy. If you want, you can go even further by implementing it in your classroom, trying out a new strategy or some of the materials we've got there. And you can earn yourself a full sketch for just trying it out and sharing how it went. Easy as that. So we're trying to find ways to make learning easier for you. And this is one of the ways we're doing it. You can find all of our EdTech offerings at bit.ly/IamEdTech.
Okay, and that's it for this episode of For the Purpose of podcast. To get more information and show notes and links that we've discussed in the podcast, look down at the bottom. You will see the little notes. There's some links in there and some other helpful information. If you're going to McCall, tell us what you're most excited about and most curious about. You can send that over to us at our normal link, bit.ly/IamEdTech. And we will catch you next time on For the Purpose of. This podcast is a service of Kent ISD. It's produced by Ron Houtman, Sarah Wood, and Keith Tramper. Our theme music is Neon Lights by Scott Holmes Music, courtesy of freemusicarchive.org.
How would that sound in a Muppet's voice?
Oh! How would it sound? Engish, Mark.